You're listening to the Occupational Philosophers with Simon Banks and John Rice.
Welcome to another episode of the Occupational Philosophers, the not-so-serious business podcast to spark creativity, curiosity and imagination. Hey John, how are you, man?
Hey Simon, I'm very well. You just about got through that introduction there without sort of starting to burst into some hysterical laughter. You all right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm all right, yeah. I'm good. And look, this is a little Inbetweeners episode. Short, sharp burst, 5 to 6 minutes. And note my short introduction there as well. Now, John, I'm really excited I know you've been to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which is one of the biggest creative festivals in Europe or the world or something.
Yeah, I think, it's definitely Europe as a performing arts festival. Okay. It could be world beating, but yeah, it is huge. It was massive and it was great. Yeah, that was the start of our holiday back at the start of August. It runs throughout the course of August and managed to squeeze in quite a lot of things. I mean, we travelled as a family, so we saw street performance, of which there was just everything you can imagine. Fire eaters and jugglers and dancers and singers and everything. And also then...
Did it get to the end, you're just going, another juggler. Do something interesting, mate.
I've seen...
Is that all you got? 12 balls?
Yeah, that's it. Juggling 12 machetes. Guy down there was doing 15. Yeah. That might be the kids were doing that. Dad, can we just go and watch something on telly? No, so it was really, really, as you might imagine, visually just overwhelming and really interested just to see all these different people bringing something to life at the festival. I managed to seek out some other shows as well on my own, comedians. I quite like going to see some of the stand-up that's around. And for this show, Simon, the theme that I want to share and explore is works in progress. So as I walked around Edinburgh, you see all the posters, flyers everywhere. I mean, they are... The place is flyer bombed and everybody's promoting their shows, everybody's handing out flyers. And what I noticed is you'd often see work in progress on their flyers or the poster. And I know what that is. You know what that is. I suspect most of us do, but comedians will often want to try stuff out. They think it's funny. They haven't really tried it with an audience. And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to get some feedback. They're trying to get some response to that to see if it's funny or if it needs to be put in the bin. And I noticed that I went to a couple of those and I recognised there was a different atmosphere in those gigs to the ones where people just bring in their best show to the Fringe.
Now, when you say different atmosphere, in what sense? What was different? Like comedian and or the audience?
A bit of both, yeah. The comedian may have notes. They're a bit more relaxed. Yep. They kind of go, look, they up front, they say this may work, this may not work. It's work in progress. Thanks for coming. And the audience are kind of, okay, well, let's listen in. Maybe we can help you. It feels like they kind of, because if it's funny, you'll know because we'll laugh at it. And if it's not funny, you'll know, and you could strike it off your list. So there seems to be some different, I don't know, felt like a different contract had emerged between comedian and audience because you were going in knowing it was a work in progress. And that's what happened, And even then, the comedians could have real fun with it because if something didn't work and it was plainly bad and no one laughed, the comedian got a gag out of it because they go, note to self, take that one off the list, that kind of thing. And it's funny. Yeah. And so then they get a laugh off of that. So it was a lovely warm atmosphere. And it just made me think about how often at work, if we go in going, I present something, I'm presenting this idea, and you don't tell them it's a work in progress or it's, as we've said before, half-baked, or you're just making your way through it, you're trying to sense your way through something, you can get a response and the atmosphere is, no, rubbish, don't like it. Whereas I think maybe you can go in with a work in progress into those meetings and say, hey, this is a work in progress. It's not fully formed. Bits of it, I think, work. Some of it probably doesn't work at all. Love your feedback. So
let's find out.
Let's find out and find out together. So I think you can go in perhaps with and create a different atmosphere in those kind of meetings. So that was my takeaway, one of my takeaways. I'm sure there'll be others that I'll touch on later.
I like you say, it's a different relationship with the audience because imagine you've got that Well, you got a co-design hat on that sort of all of a sudden you think, okay, there's a sense of collaboration, a sense of openness. I'll be listening with intent, but also signaling it's not perfect. So to the audience, but also the audience signaling we're okay with that, but we can help you improve.
Yeah. That's a very good encapsulation of that. Well done, Simon.
Well, there you go. There you go.
I knew you were here for a reason.
Your thoughts into something our audience can understand.
So, yeah, it's something that can bubble away, it can simmering away ideas, thoughts that evolve over time. And you're right. I think it's, can we get it so that we are have a different relationship with each other in those moments? As a side note, and again, I know this is a short episode, as you might imagine, there's lots of famous people wandering around Edinburgh at the time of the Fringe, especially comedians and TV celebrities and radio celebrities and the like. And we walked past Chris Ramsay and his wife, Rosie. Now, Chris Ramsay, as I'm sure you know, Chris and Rosie actually, have a very successful, a very funny podcast called Shagged, Married and Annoyed. It's probably could be like number one in the UK. It certainly had staggering success. It's got National Comedy Awards 2022 Best Comedy Podcast, Global Awards Best Podcast winner, British Podcast Awards 2020 Listener's Choice. I mean, these guys are top of the game. Anyway, just saying, we stopped, we had a little chat, hung out with Chris and Rosie.
Oh, so you actually had a chat. You stopped. You didn't just look at him and go,
oh, no.
Where's Chris Ramsay?
Well, actually, my wife did do that. My wife did do the hissing thing. That's Chris Ramsay. Okay. A bit like Gollum. He turned around and said, are you hissing at me? And then we had a lovely conversation. They were lovely, very accommodating, allowed our kids to have a nice little selfie with them. It was a beautiful moment. And all I would say is, look, Chris, Rosie, if you're listening, I suspect you are. In fact, I probably know you are. We'd love to have you on as guests.
Looking forward to it.
So that we can find out more about your creative, curious, imaginative self. So, yeah, that would be fun, wouldn't it?
All right. Well, I look forward to having them on the show. And I think also we can unpick a few little more pieces from your Fringe Festival, because I guess what we've discovered, and I was even writing about this today, thinking about this today, intersections, like when things cross over, like, science smashes up with art, or comedy smashes up with productivity, or writing comedy smashes up with ideas and co-design. So I love these little intersections, and I think intersections is a big part of what this show is about, John.
Intersections indeed. I'll update my Venn diagram of my own right here as I speak. I've just put comedy, facilitation, philosophy and improv in there all together.
And speaking of jokes, it always gets a few smiles if you say in a room, I wouldn't be a consultant without a good Venn diagram, would I? And there's always a few wry smiles. But if you're listening, you've heard me say that. Name I'm a secret sauce. As always, be curious, make stuff, have fun, play more, and
date life.